3 days ago, I made the move from an iPhone to an Android, and I'm going to talk you through what the experience has been like so you don't have to. Well, you don't have to, or you could if you want to. It really shouldn't be up to this, but I'm going to share what I'm learning in the process. So if you're thinking about doing this, maybe it'll save you some time. How about that? Let's get into the video. Hey there, if we haven't met yet, I'm Neil Smith. I'm the VP of Marketing for an organization called Faith Driven Movements and the founder of a marketing agency called Amplify Social Media. We do digital marketing for churches, nonprofits, small businesses. And if you want help, reach out to the team at amplifysocial.media and they would love to help. But I want to talk through my transition journey from this iPhone. This is an iPhone 14 to this Android. This is a Samsung Flip 7. There's more details in, what the phones are. I'll leave that in the show notes, but I want to talk through, I'm 3 days into this transition. I tried this 5 years ago, to be honest. So if you followed my journey, I tried to break my Apple addiction and I'm doing it again. I made the leap 3 days ago. I'll give you an update again, probably in 30 days, but wanted to share fresh why I'm making this move, what led to the move, and what I've experienced so far, because it's not gone as expected, as you might expect in a move like this. It is a pain to transition. So let's walk through the journey that got us here. The journey begins with this little device right here. This is an 8 gigabyte iPhone. This was not the first 4 gigabyte phone, but this was my first iPhone when it first came out. Look how tiny it is compared to the iPhone 14. And this is the smaller iPhone today. You can see them side by side here, or back to back. It really is such a smaller phone. I actually miss how small this is, how nicely it fit into the hand versus this is the iPhone 14. I stuck with this phone because it's the smallest phone that I could find. I like a smaller phone. And so I miss the size of this device. I remember too, when this had 8 gigabytes, I was like, I'm getting double, because you could either get 4 gigs or 8 gigs. I'm like, man, I'll just never even fill up that much closet space on my phone. Well, now one of the biggest problems I have on my iPhone 14 is it only has that 128 gigabytes. I got the lower end of memory and it's not enough, and it keeps filling up and I keep having to delete stuff, and that's pretty annoying. And so one of the first reasons I wanted to switch or needed a new phone was because the memory kept filling up on my iPhone. So if you get a new iPhone, I started looking at Android devices. But before we get to the actual Android, this device, I want to talk about 5 years ago when I tried making the leap and what happened and what caused me to go back to the iPhone. So at that point, I was probably 10 years into my iPhone journey, and it's just so easy. You get a new iPhone and it takes you about 15 minutes to just connect the two, and it updates, and you use iCloud and all the things you're supposed to use, and it syncs, and then it syncs to your computer so easily. The Apple ecosystem is incredible. But about 5 years ago, I was looking at Android phones and seeing how much more cost effective they are and feeling like I'm addicted to this Apple ecosystem. I don't like being addicted to an ecosystem. And so I tried going to a Google Pixel phone. Now it was a great device. It was probably $300, $400. It worked really well. I did it during the pandemic because I wasn't traveling as much. And I was like, if there's a good time that I don't necessarily need my phone to work as seamlessly without being on the road, this is a good time. So I jumped to the Google Pixel, used it for about 6 months. And the truth is, it was a good device. It worked fine. Where I had a problem is with the Microsoft integration. At that time, I worked for an organization that primarily used the Microsoft Office suite, and that just wasn't real compatible with the Android device. Well, today, everything I do is in Google. And so because I use Gmail, Google Drive, Google Meet, it just feels like a natural time that it will be more easy to transition into the Android and Google ecosystem. The problem I have right now is I'm actually more concerned that I'm fully addicted to the Google ecosystem, because I think about Google Drive, I think about Gmail, I think about the Android device now, I think about YouTube, I think about YouTube TV is what we have, basically our cable subscription. I think about all of the Google ecosystem. I'm far more addicted to that ecosystem than I am to the Apple ecosystem. So that motivation of breaking that addiction, maybe not as strong now, but I'll tell you what made me make the leap. Now, let me show you this other phone. So this is the Google Flip, Samsung Flip. And the reality is my daughter got this phone about 6 months ago. This is what she wanted for her birthday. And we got a pre-owned phone. This is also a pre-owned phone. We got hers for about $500. I was able to get mine for about $350. And honestly, when she got it and I just saw the way it flipped, and it's got like a screen on the front here. And then when you open it, it's got a longer screen, and she can even see it compared to the iPhone. So it's a little bigger, actually a good amount bigger, but it feels smaller because it's not as wide. And one of the things I like about this thinner phone is that I can reach all the way across with my thumb and I can type with one hand. A few other things I really like about this device is it's got a fingerprint reader on the front. It does facial scan just like the iPhone, but I like having the fingerprint reader too. And so that functionality is great. The other thing I liked is when I was looking at my daughter's photos, every time we'd have family photos and be taking shots of things, hers always looked better than the rest of us who are on iPhones. And so something about the camera on the Samsung just seems to take great photos. And then the screen is just really sharp. And so that flip screen, you can see a little line in the middle if you're really looking for it, especially if you're scrolling through and feeling it. But for the most part, you don't really notice it. And so as a device, it's way cooler than just a flat device. So basically half the price and more functionality. So yeah, as a device, that was a no-brainer. Let's talk about the actual function of changing now. I got this device and I was like, what do I need to begin to transition? So I just basically started going app by app. So how do I get my email connected to this, or all of my email addresses connected to this, my Google Drive connected to this? How do I get Uber connected to this? And it took me about three and a half hours to get all of the apps that I use on a regular basis from my iPhone onto this new Samsung Flip, and then get them logged in to the accounts. And so, look, that's sideways energy. It's not I'm not learning Android. I'm not doing it. All I'm doing is downloading an app and getting it logged in. I hate sideways energy. Hey guys, just want to interrupt myself real quick, get back to the video in a minute, but want to highlight Amplify Social Media. Amplify is the agency that I started more than a dozen years ago. I transitioned out, handed the company over to Matt Williams, Geraldine, the incredible team at Amplify. They're continuing to help me. I'm a client now of Amplify, still an owner, still have an aspect of involvement, but really focused on my work at Faith-Driven Movements. And so I'm so proud of the team at Amplify, and I want to make sure that you, as you're watching this, if you are looking for help amplifying your message like I am with this video, reach out to the team at Amplify, amplifysocial.media. Talk to Matt, talk to Kelly, talk to Farina, talk to Geraldine, talk to Roy, talk to any of the incredible team members there at Amplify, and I know they would love to help you amplify your message. They do everything from social media to podcasts to YouTube videos like this to all kinds of content, websites, anything digital. They do not just social media. Well, that is our specialty and where we really started. Our services have expanded. So make sure you reach out to the team at Amplify. It doesn't cost you anything to talk to them, worth a conversation, see what they can do and if they can help you amplify your message. Let's get back to the video. And so look, 3.5 hours, it might be, you might use fewer apps than I do, so that might be less time for you, might be more time for you if you don't remember your password. I use LastPass as my password manager, and so it's easy to get access to the passwords, and so I think it could take longer if I didn't have decent organization around the password managers and the authenticators. But yeah, it took me about 3.5 hours. That's annoying to me. So, but I've got all my apps and set up and working within the platform now. The second thing that I'm working on currently is getting my text messages moved over. Now, this is one of the things that makes me happy to be breaking my Apple addiction, but also frustrated because I've got several text threads that people are in iMessage, and I don't know how they're in iMessage or in a regular text message, but when I text them from my new device, it only replies and goes to my old phone because they still have my iMessage as my key contact when they reply to a message. So I'm gonna have to let them know, hey, update my contact in your phone so that your text messages will start coming to my phone. That's just annoying. That's something that Apple obviously does intentionally. There is no major value to iMessage, the blue text. People always talk about the green text. That's made up garbage, in my opinion. And so it is annoying, but Apple just makes it unnecessarily annoying. And so I am happy to break that aspect of the addiction and make the change, but it's a pain. And it isn't easy because I've been doing this for 15 years in communication with people. Getting people to make that change is going to be a challenge. Let me share a few other things that are a little funky, call it, about this phone. One, just the design is a little funky. I love that. I love people are always like looking at it, curious about it. I love the flip nature of the phone. I also love the size of the way it just fits into my pocket so nicely and is so small. It's got a great hold to it. But one of the things that is a little funky is because it's got a funny size, it's a little more narrow as a device and longer than a lot of other devices. And so the way certain apps will load into it is just a little funky. It doesn't, one of the things that works great with the iPhone is all apps essentially just work naturally well. With some Android devices, I found this with the Pixel as well. It wasn't always a perfect fit with the screen size, especially a screen size that is not as normal. It's longer than the average device. So that throws it off a little bit. Not a big deal, but it is quirky with some of the apps. The other thing is I'll miss the ease of FaceTime. A lot of my family is on FaceTime. We're trying to get everyone to move to WhatsApp as a platform to be able to communicate and basically move from text messaging to WhatsApp for everyone. And you can do video calls easily in WhatsApp, similar to what you can do in FaceTime. I will try Google Meet. Now I use it for business, for meetings a lot on a desktop, but I haven't used it a ton on a device like this. I'm curious how that will work with others, especially those that aren't on Android devices. And so I'm hopeful that there will be a natural, video conferencing platform that will work phone to phone really easily when you want to just jump on like what in the past has been, let's just jump on a FaceTime real quick, especially with family. So I want to work on that. So here's the question though. Now that I am just 3 days in, do I regret making this leap from the iPhone 14 to Samsung Flip 5? And at this point, absolutely not. This device just gets cooler the more I play with it. I am curious to see, even over time, what happens. And I've gotten to see 6 months in with my daughters where some of the stripping along the edge, because you're folding it, is stripping off. Now it hasn't damaged the device yet, but I am curious, will this screen last as long as an iPhone typically does? Are there some other quirks about it? But so far it gets cooler and cooler for me. The device itself more functional than I anticipated. The transition has been a bit easier than I anticipated. I've got some trips coming up, so trips are a good test of like, okay, you're really dependent on the mobile device when you're out and about and on the road. So that will be a good sign when I come back with my 1 month update. But 3 days in, I'm thrilled with the jump. And so we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Love to answer any questions you want to have. So you're going to drop those in the comments. Love to answer the questions. But as of today, I'm an Android guy. I have broken my Apple addiction. Okay, before I wrap up this video about my transition to Android, are a couple of the other areas that I broke my Apple addiction first. The first is the AirPods. I loved the AirPods, especially the AirPods Pro, and the way they fit into the ears better than the regular AirPods, and the way they blocked out background noise when you're on phone calls. But these JBL Vibe Beam headphones are about $50 on Amazon. They jump. Sometimes they'll go down to like $30, $40 on Prime Day, and bought several pairs of these, but they are so good. On the go, everyday headphones. These are my AirPod replacements in the fraction of the cost, and I would say just as good in my opinion. So JBL Vibe Beams. The other is the Apple Watch. I see this as like a second monitor. Definitely not essential into my Apple ecosystem, but it works good and it hasn't broken. I've had this one for a couple of years, probably my third Apple Watch. I like having it, but the thing I don't like about it is the battery doesn't last as long. Well, I have moved to the Fitbit. This was like $50, the Christmas special, I suppose, that I just bought for myself. And it's been great. The battery lasts about 5 days on one charge. And yeah, it's smaller. I don't need the big screen. I like some quick alerts. And I like the health aspects of the Fitbit. And so, yeah, I'm easing my way away from the whole Apple ecosystem for addiction. Now, if it is the best device, I'm going to keep Apple, but I don't want to be dependent on these Apple devices. So I am happy to be breaking my Apple Watch addiction, my AirPod addiction, now my iPhone addiction. So the only thing left is I still have a Mac laptop, and I use the Mac Mini here in my office. But yeah, other than that, I am breaking my Apple addiction. I'll keep you posted. I hope this video helps you if you're considering jump. But 3 days in, I'm a happy Android guy. We'll talk to you again on the next video.